Friday, we left off. I read for you verse 35. On the same day, when evening had come, he said to them, "Let us cross over to the other side." All right. Um, then verse number 38, part B. Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing? Matter of fact, let me read A and B for you. But he was in the stern, asleep on a pillow, and they awoke him and said to him, Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing? Verse 41, or verse 40 rather, but he said to them, why are you so fearful? How is it that you have no faith? Right? And I left off on Friday, and I told you that, if God's delivered you before, He'll deliver you again. And I left here. I left here on Friday, just talking with God and thinking about this idea of storms, and not just even the idea, but the um, just the storms that we encounter in our life and what that looks like, what that means, what all that entails. And I found myself as I thought about that and as I looked at that, I said to myself, I said, why is it that we have such a big problem with storms? I remember, well, not I remember, but it hit me. It hit me this weekend. All right, it hit me this weekend. I was with I was with my best man, who also is my best friend outside of my marriage and all that. Me and my wife, we pretty much like best friends these days. And anyhow, I was with my best man, like I said, who is outside of my marriage and outside of God, my best friend. And so we were talking. We were talking, and we were supposed to do some work together on Saturday, and we had had a schedule and everything, and we were going to get to it. And then all of a sudden, he was headed to my house, and then all of a sudden, it began to rain. And it was a light rain at first, and we were like, okay, cool, we'll just wait this out. It don't seem like it's going to be, hard, heavy, or long. And then the next thing you know, it starts to pour down, and then a light rain turns into a heavy shower. And just then, right, just then it dropped in my spirit because, I saw how agitated even my best man became because we weren't able to do what it is that we had set out to do. And in that moment, it hit me. It hit me. I said to myself, or I began to realize to myself, the problem with storms, the reason why so many of us don't like storms, the reason why we don't do well with storms, the reason why we don't handle storms well in our lives is because of the unpredictability. I don't know if that's a proper word or if it's even a real word, but that's the word I'm gonna go with today. Because of the unpredictable nature of storms. Oh yeah, we don't like it. No, 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 no. If storms could fit into our schedule, if storms, like if we could even have a little bit more preparation time for the storm. Okay, I know that exactly the 2 o'clock the storm is going to hit. So that means I need to reschedule everything that I was going to do and make sure it gets done before 2 o'clock. Because once 2 o'clock hits, I know that storm's going to hit, and I'm not going to be able. I saw on Saturday, and one of my neighbors was out cutting his yard, and as he was cutting his yard, the storm rolled through, and at first it was just a light storm. So he said, "Oh, I'm gonna push through," or a light shower. So he said, "I'm gonna push through it." And he kept on cutting anyhow. Then it started pouring down, thunder, and a little bit of lightning, and he went on ahead, had to, put the mower up and go on indoors. Didn't get to finish cutting his yard. If we could predict our storms a little bit better, I think I realized when we go back to Mark chapter 4, I think I realized part of what was the disciples' problem. See, the disciples, yeah, they understood what Jesus had said. Or maybe they understood what Jesus had said when he said, let's go to the other side. But But what Jesus didn't tell them, and what Jesus oftentimes, what God oftentimes doesn't tell us, is that, all right, I want you to go, and this is what I'm calling you to do. This is what I have for you to do. But along the way, there'll be storms. Along the way, you're going to encounter some life changing, life shaking, life altering events, some catastrophic events that are going to shake you almost to your core. They're going to have you at the point and the place where you think that you might just die. It may not be a physical death, mind you. It may not be, but it may be that you're feeling depleted and you're like, spiritually, I ain't got nothing left. It may be something where some part of your life just feels like it's about to be over, where it feels like, it's done for. I can't, you know what I mean? Have you ever encountered something that you weren't expecting? You didn't plan for it. You didn't know it was going to come. And so you were living your life as if you had all the time. You were living your life as if, yeah, glory to God, as if you just knew it was all going to work out. But can I help you? The problem that a lot of us have, and then the Lord really had to minister to me about this. The reason why so many of us get bent out of shape is because God already gave us vision. God already showed us what was going to happen. I shared with y'all on last week my personal testimony to some degree. I said that there was something that I had been praying about since I was a little boy, and I was like, Lord, you said that you would do this and that you would do that. You've done this and you've done that, but God, that thing that you promised me, I have yet to see it. Do you even see? Do you care? Do you know? Are you still going to do it? The problem is, I love, one of my favorite, um, at one point, this was one of my favorite books of the Bible. And in particularly, chapter 3 of this book was one of my favorite chapters in the Bible. And I'm talking about Ecclesiastes chapter number 3. And verse number 11, when you get to Ecclesiastes chapter 3, it says this. It says, He, being God, has made everything beautiful in its time. Now, that's an interesting way to start off that passage of scripture. He, being God, has made everything beautiful. Oh my God, I feel like preaching it here today. I really do. He has made everything beautiful in its time. But then it goes on to say, I told y'all I feel like preaching it, so let me, bear with me. He says, also, he has put eternity in their hearts. So he's made everything beautiful in its time. But also he has put eternity in their hearts. And their hearts means in the hearts of man. Except that no one can find out the work that God does from beginning to end. So the problem that we often have, the problem as Ecclesiastes, and I'm reading that from the New King James Version. I'm going to switch over here in a second to the Amplified Version. But the reason why we struggle so often, the reason why we struggle with what it is that God has set for us to do, the reason why we struggle with storms is because God has given us a glimpse of what it is that we're supposed to do. We see almost like clearly the end result. Not fully, but we see, the end result. All right, God, you promised me. You said that this is where I'm supposed to be. You said this is what would happen in my life. God, you said that this is where I would be. And I believe you. I trust you. I hold you to your word. But now, oh God, now here I am. I'm doing what you said to do. You said, let's cross over to the other side. But you didn't say that there would be a storm in the midst. You didn't say I would have to go through trials and tribulations. You didn't say I'd have to go through hell and high water. You didn't say I'd have people talking about me, not even behind my back, but in my face, in my own family. God, you didn't say all that. You just said that you would make me the father of many nations, right? You just said that you didn't say that my children were going to be fighting amongst themselves. You didn't say somebody understands, right? And the problem with storms is the unpredictable nature of them all. And what gets us is that God has given us eternity in our heart. He's given us this vision. He said, listen, this is where I'll have for you to be. But yet and still, we don't know the whole thing from beginning to end. And that's the problem that oftentimes we have when it comes to storms is that God, you promised me this, you said this, but you didn't say that I would have to go through A, B, C, D. You just showed me Z. You ain't show me all this other stuff. If you had shown me this other stuff, I might have would have changed my mind. If you had shown me this other stuff, I might have would have thought twice about it. And I think that the problem why we get so bent out of shape when it comes to the storms we encounter in our lives is that they are so unpredictable. But friends, I need you to know something, and this is how I want to close this. I want us to understand. He said in Jeremiah 29:11, "For I know the thoughts that I think towards you. They are thoughts of good." And another translation said, "I know the plans that I have for you. They're plans of good and not of evil. They're plans to prosper you and to bring you to an expected end." The reason why he said that they were good and not evil is because he needed you to know that you're going to go through some things. You're going to encounter some things that you're going to feel like and think are downright evil. But he needs you to know that yet and still in the midst of it all, it's all working for your good. It's working for an expected end. I need somebody to know. That's why he took it a step further. When you read in Romans 8:28, for we know that all things work together for the good, not just the good things, but even the bad things work together for the good of them that love the Lord, who are called according to his purpose. See, it even goes back to the Jacob when he had encountered his brothers and he was with his brothers after he had been promoted and he was second in charge of Israel. I'm sorry, of Egypt. He told them, listen, this thing that you did, you meant it for evil, but God turned it around and meant it for my good so that I could preserve the house of Israel, so that I could preserve my brethren. And you meant it for my evil. That's why he says then also in First Peter chapter 5, verse 10, that after you've suffered a while, he'll establish, he'll perfect, he'll strengthen, right? Yeah, yeah. I need somebody to know and understand. I know the storms that you've been going through. James even tells us, my brothers, that you ought to count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience, but let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and entire, lacking nothing. Friends, I need you to know. Yeah, the storms in your life, they may be unpredictable. Yeah, the things that you've been dealing with, they may come one right after the other. Yeah, the storm, you either going through a storm, you get coming out of a storm, or you're getting ready to go into a storm. Life is a series of storms. Yes, all of that is true. But I need somebody to know, and I need somebody to understand that while that yet may still be true, that my God delivers. The Bible tells us, what does it say in Psalms? It says, many are the afflictions of the righteous, but God, but God, but God delivers him out of them all. Ah, my God. I need somebody to know and understand that yes, you've been going through the storm. Yes, you've been in the storm. Yes, you've been going through as you feel for far too long. But I need you to know that it's working. It's working for your good. It's working. Paul said, I'm convinced that it's working a far exceeding, right, a far exceeding and greater purpose for us. Uh, he said, what? These momentary light afflictions are not worthy to be compared to the glory that shall be revealed in us, right? Because they are working for us, my God, a far greater purpose. They're working for us, a far greater thing. We just have to learn how to trust God in the midst of a storm. I want to encourage you as I close out this series. I need to encourage you to make sure that you learn to just say, God, I trust you. It's unpredictable. It was something I wasn't prepared for. It was something I wasn't looking for. It was something I may not have been ready for. It was something that wasn't on my radar because I was so focused on what it is that you told me that you had for me to do. I was so focused on your plans and your purpose for me that I wasn't looking for a storm. I wasn't looking for this thing to happen and to shake my life. I wasn't looking for a divorce. I wasn't looking for a separation. I wasn't looking for my kids to, be stuck on drugs. I wasn't looking for, my parent to die or for this to happen or for that to happen. But God, listen, I was just so focused. But God, if you could just help me to get through it, if you could just help me to stay focused in the midst of trial, if you could just speak to the wind and the waves, or if you could just speak to the wind and the waves of my spirit that are yet uncalm, that are yet so wild and boisterous, that want to cry out and throw a temper tantrum every time a storm arises. If you could speak to that place in me, I'm not worried about you speaking to the storm. God, I need you to speak into my life. God, I need you to speak into me so that I don't trip, so that I don't fall out of place, so that I don't get unruly in the midst of a storm. God, I need you. Ah, my God, if we could just get to that place, if we could just get there, that's where I need us to be as it relates to your storms. Let me just encourage you. Let me encourage you. Listen, I know it caught you off guard. That's the point of a storm. It's to catch you off guard so that it can perfect you. See, here's what I've learned and I've recognized. You know, soldiers who go to war, and especially this was true of the old Roman armies and all the others. And even when you look at armies, the armies of Greece, right, and Athens and Sparta and all of them. The reason why they trained, the reason even why, glory to God, a boxer trains before he goes into a battle. The reason why, right, that you have, if you go back and you look like Muhammad Ali, before he fought George Foreman, he found somebody who was about as big as George Foreman, and he would try to fight them. And he would, the reason why he did that, the reason why all these other fighters spar with a partner who's similar to the person who they're gonna fight, or they spar with a partner. The reason why they do that is not just so that they can be better in the fight, but so that their weaknesses can be exposed. They're not just trying to learn their opponent's moves, but they're trying to expose their own weaknesses. So they say, okay, I need to perfect this. I need to do better in this. I need to see, because when they hit me right here, and that's something like how they would do when I get into the fight. So I need to prepare. I need to remember, keep my hands up. I need to remember to do this. I need to remember, keep my shield up. I've got to, that's why they did it. That's why you go through storms, because he's preparing you. He's preparing you. He's perfecting you. I need you to know God is absolutely perfecting you. God is absolutely doing some things within you. But you've got to learn. You've got to learn, right? How to allow God to do his work and still, right? And still say, okay, God, I trust you. I trust you. Lord, I'm going to go through it. I don't like it. It don't feel good, but I trust you. Friends, I want to play this song. Matter of fact, I'm going to play a couple of songs. Let me play for you first the Clark Sisters with Endow Me. All right. Then after I play the Clark Sisters with Endow Me, um, I'm going to play Daryl Coley. He's perfecting me. Then after Daryl Coley, he's perfecting me. I don't know. We're going to see where the Lord takes us from there. But I pray that this word bless somebody, help somebody on today. Here is, again, the Clark Sisters with Endow Me right here on I Am Encouraged Radio.